Hello everyone, Nadezhda here, and in today's lesson we are going to learn how to create the manual spot elevation. While I usually am against any sort of faking in the project, sometimes we have to simply add the spot elevation to elements that we haven't maybe modeled previously. So as you can see in my display, I have the left spot elevation, two spot elevations. First one is reading the project base point, and the second one is reading the survey height point. On the right side I have the generic annotation where I can insert any sort of value that I want, and the survey height will update instantly. I will also insert minus and it will be subtracted from the survey height. So let's learn how to create this family. I first go to File, New and Family. I enter the Annotations folder and I choose the metric generic annotation. I delete this text and now I first create the symbol for my spot elevation. So I'm going to be choosing the lines and then I create a circle. I'm just going to create a circle of 2 millimeters radial dimension, and then I take the line tool and I draw the rest of the lines. I'm just going to draw something like this, and then if it's too small or too big, I'm just going to change the size. Next, I take the field region tool, and since this default one is black already, I'm just going to take the lines and I'm going to draft this shape. I take the arc tool for this one. And once I'm done with the first one, I simply use the rotate tool. I make sure that this copy option is checked and I rotate it by 180 degrees. And now our symbol is done. The next step is actually creating the labels for heights. So I go to the create tool and I choose the label tool and I click where I want my text to be. Now I create the new parameter and I'm just going to call it the project base elevation. I will choose the instance option because I do want to be able to change each of these spot elevations separately. Data type I leave as length and group parameter under the dimension. I click OK and I push that parameter here. I'm just going to insert some sample value that resembles numbers more. I also go to the unit settings just so I can make sure that my spot elevation is always in meters. So I uncheck this use project settings option and I check meters here, and I'm going to choose the 2 decimal places. I click OK. And OK once again, and now we get this label. First I select this text and I make sure that the horizontal align is on the left because I always want this text to be starting from the left and then expanding to the right. If I leave it at center, it's always going to be central and then to expand centrally on both sides. So I click on the edit type just so I can change the font. I'm going to choose the Arial Narrow. I make sure it's the same size as the rest of the spot elevations in my project so the family can look the same. I'm going to change the leader border offset to also be smaller so it doesn't have this big box around it. I change the background to be transparent and I think that is it, and I click OK. And now we have this text. I just make sure to position it somewhere where it looks good. Next we insert the survey height and we go to the create again and choose label once again. We position it somewhere where it's aligned with the upper text, and instead of the regular parameter, now we create the calculated parameter. I'm going to call it the survey base elevation. In the type, I'm going to choose the length and I pick these 3 little dots to take this parameter and I add the value of my absolute height. In this case, it is 335.5 and I add meters in the end just so I know that the units are correct. I click OK and I also choose the unit settings so I can make sure that everything reads meters and that it also has 2 decimal places. And I click OK. I also choose some other sample values so it doesn't read this big text, and I click OK. I also make sure that the horizontal align is left, and I just position this text somewhere where it looks good compared to the rest of the family. We click load into project, we pick our project and let's add it somewhere, and we can see that it looks good, at least on the 0. And if we change this value to, for example, 5 meters, we see that it changes instantly. We also check the minus value to make sure that we got that right as well for our basement levels. And as you can see, this part works as well. If you only need this elevation for the plan, you can stop here, but in today's lesson we are also going to create one spot elevation for this section as well, which will be in the same family. But before we continue with the lesson, let's hear a word of a sponsor, which is also actually me. As you know, I have built a course where I teach you how to go from the basics or intermediate level all the way to the advanced level, where you are able to produce the entire Revit project all on your own or in the company in large teams. In this course, you aren't just watching videos, but you're actively doing exercises that are designed to level up your Revit skill. Each exercise contains the comments panel where you can actually ask questions, and I answer all of these questions the same day. Whether you are a complete beginner or you are transitioning from the AutoCAD or you are the intermediate user of Revit, this course is designed to give you the confidence to start working in Revit fully independently or in the teams. You can check out a list of lessons on the BIM and Tonic website, and I hope to see you in the course. So let's continue with this lesson. So I go back to my family, I select everything that I have here, and I added the visibility parameter. I click on this empty rectangle and I created a new parameter, and I'm going to call it the plan spot elevation. I choose visibility for the group parameter under, and I'm going to leave it as type just so I can have the two types of this family. I click OK and OK once again, and now I'm going to group it just so it is in the separate group, and I'm going to call it the plan spot elevation. It is not necessary to group the spot elevation, but it is easier because this way you can move it easily or you can hide it easily. And now I'm just going to temporarily move it so I can just draft the section spot elevation instead of it. You could have also just temporarily hidden it, it's pretty much the same. I also go back to the line tool and I simply draft this section symbol for the spot elevation. It's going to look something like this. And now I don't have to create the new labels, I can just copy these ones. I click tab so I can copy it inside of the group, and I click tab for the second one and I simply copy them using the copy tool and copy them here. I just have to make sure that they don't have this plan spot elevation visibility settings anymore, because I'm going to be adding it to the section setting. Once this is done, I select everything again and I click the associate family parameter and I create the new visibility parameter for the section spot elevation. I choose the visibility option and I also leave it as type and click OK. OK once again, and now we have the section spot elevation as well, and I'm going to group this one as well. I click create group and I'm going to call it the section spot elevation, and I simply overlap them so they both have this reference plane as their center, because your family is going to be snapping in the project right where this intersection of the main reference planes are. Once everything is done, we can load it into the project and let's see what we got. And as you can see, it looks wonderful now, and we just have to create the new types so they wouldn't be overlapping. So I go to the edit type and I rename this type and I'm going to call it the plan spot elevation, as usually, and I'm going to hide the section spot elevation here. I click OK, and now we have just this one. And in section, I am going to create the new one. I use the annotate option and I use the symbol and I choose this family. And now I go to the edit type, I duplicate it, and this one I'm going to call it the section spot elevation. And I click OK. And I choose this section spot elevation visibility, and this is what it looks like. Essentially, now you can be creating this type for everything that is section related. And here we can just insert -3.6 and we get the instant update. And this is it for today's lesson. If you have any questions, post in a comment below, and if you want to learn Revit with me, check out my full beginner's Revit course at bimtonic.net. Thank you for watching and see you in the next lesson. Bye! If you want to learn Revit like a pro, take a look at my architectural course through the link below. You will learn how to develop the project from concept to final design using Autodesk Revit. It is ideal for beginners but valuable for anyone looking to build a solid foundation. By the end, you'll know how to take a design from concept to detailed documentation with confidence and clarity. You will gain a solid Revit workflow you can actually use independently or in work in larger teams in architectural studios. With almost 100 structured video lessons, it is designed to help beginners master Revit step by step. To support your progress, I've included assignments with each lesson, plus the opportunity to ask questions and receive guidance directly from me whenever you need it. This way, you're not just watching tutorials, you're actively learning, practicing, and improving every step of the way. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.